Hi, my dear Astro family. Today I wanted to make a little bit of a fun video, and that would be about lottery winners and financial success through your chart. Why did I decide to do that? Because we will have next year the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and that is considered to be a very lucky position if we play our cards well. So I thought, why not? And we are in a Christmas spirit as well. So I've decided to do a bit of a game. Hopefully you will enjoy it and hopefully you can win some prize. So if you go on my website, and then I'm just going to share the screen for a couple of seconds, AstroViktor.com. You can see the website on the page as well. Then basically all you have to do is just to sign up for my newsletters and then spin the wheel. And then you can win basically memberships. You can win free courses, free webinars. You can win discount on any of my readings, for example. So hopefully plenty of you will win and you can use these discount or free stuff for your own benefit. So go on my website now and check that out. Also, I will be launching a medical course 15 weeks from 6th of January. There are still some places left available if you want to grab your spot. This is suitable for someone who is kind of like a beginner but has got a bit of understanding over astrology, and you just want to be maintaining better your health as well as your mental health. This course will be coming soon with some bonus materials, such as unlocking your Chiron, for example, but I'm also going to be giving away anything related to mental health as well. So exciting times coming ahead. Now, let's have a look at a little bit this lucky points in your chart. This is not going to be a full list, by the way. So uh, probably I will be able to share a lot more with you in regards to these lucky points, but some of them are definitely going to be very useful. Now, when it comes to any type of winnings, and don't just think about lotteries, it's going to be attributed to the financial houses, which are the second, fifth, eighth, and 11th house. There are differences between them too, but today I would not go into that. Now, you want to be looking at the ruler of these houses, and you want to be focusing quite a lot on the second house ruler and the 11th house ruler. So the first piece of advice I would give when to play lottery, for example, when the second house ruler and the 11th house ruler are in the same phase. What do I mean by that? Imagine that the 11th house ruler and the second house ruler are, let's suppose, 141-degree apart from each other. So you would need to be checking in the sky when that happens again. And then in that case, you can play lotteries around that time. Now, the fifth house is actually the one that represents gambling as well as the 11th house. Eighth house is more to do with the unearned money or other people's money. So it's more to do with consultations, as you know, inheritance, mortgage related matters, banks, and so forth. And the 11th house is something to do with accumulated wealth and pretty much of your earnings as well, kind of like your fluctuating money gains. So one of the indicators could be if you have got Jupiter in any of the financial houses. What I've noticed going through quite a lot of lottery winners chart before is that they always have got, in 80% of the cases, have got the second house ruler in hard aspect to Pluto. So what we mean by hard aspect is typically it is a conjunction, square, or opposition. Why is that? It's most likely because at one point in your life, when it gets triggered by progression, solar arc, any of the timing techniques you use, your finances will change significantly for the better or for the worse, of course. So Pluto is the planet of change, and the second house is your resources. So there is an element of transformation of the finances. So as I mentioned, you might want to be looking at when it gets triggered by progression, for example, or solar arc, and you would need to give a very tight orb. So maximum I would give an zero point 0.2 degree orb because these progressions and solar arc meters are really slow moving energies. Right? Do not forget that often Pluto hard transits can unfortunately indicate that there is going to be a turmoil in your finances as well. So we would need to be looking at a lot more indication throughout your chart whether you can be successful. So to summarize on that, we need to be having a natal Pluto in hard aspect to the second house ruler, for example. But also, it could be a scenario when Pluto is going to be in the second house. In that case, I would say that Pluto needs to be quite well aspected, such as a trine or a sextile from Jupiter or Venus. The other thing is that often I see that the second house ruler and the 11th house ruler are in a harmonious aspect. So harmonious aspects are the sextile and trine. Trine tends to be a little bit more Jupiterian influence, and the sextile is a little bit more Venusian. Now, if you think about that, Jupiter is the planet of abundance, as well as triumph and luck, and Venus is connected with money. So this is the reason why those two aspects can work extremely well. Imagine a situation, for example, that your second house ruler and the eighth house ruler in a harmonious aspect within each other. Traditionally speaking, I would not give a more than 3 degree rule. So, but some other aspects, ruler of the second house in the one of the financial houses, so the fifth, eighth, or the 11th, or maybe the ruler of the fifth house is going to be in one of the financial houses, or the ruler of the eighth house is going to be in one of those, or the ruler of the 11th house is going to be connected somehow with the financial houses. So whether they are in the financial house or there is an aspect between them too. Sometimes planets in the second house can indicate an element of a luck where your luck might be coming from. So maybe you've got Mercury, for example, which is about communication, travels, and so forth, or writing, speaking. But I would say that Uranus or Jupiter could be a great indicator, but especially one of the money planets should be in the second house. So the money planets are Pluto, Jupiter, often actually it's North Node, or the ruler of the financial houses. Of course, Jupiter is associated with luck. So often you might be able to see that Jupiter will be in the 11th house, which is the planetary joy of Jupiter anyway. Also, 11th house, ruler being in the 11th house could be a great indicator as well, especially if it has got some element of connection to Jupiter. Now, but one of the major factors, the other sign could be that if you have got Sagittarius or Pisces on one of the money houses cusp. Uh, Typically, because both Sagittarius and Pisces are ruled by Jupiter in traditional astrology, and those are somehow connected to an element of growth. However, there have been plenty of research done about lottery winners, and one of the common thing people noticed is that Jupiter and Uranus connections are really common in the charts of lottery winners. So to give you an example, they examined 19 lottery winners and they were earning more than $1 million, I believe. And 8 out of 19 cases, Uranus had a trine from the second or the sixth house towards the midheaven within approximately about 2 degrees. And the other one they noticed was that Jupiter and Uranus midpoint got triggered. So if you are unaware of what midpoints are, then basically you get the shorter distance between Jupiter and Uranus. You calculate the degrees. For example, it's going to be 96 degrees apart from each other. You always calculate from the faster moving planet towards the slower moving planet. Sorry, the other way around. from the slower moving planet towards the faster moving planet. And then you calculate the distance between them two and you halve it. So let's say if it's 96 degree, then it would be approximately the 48th degree from the slowest moving planet where you would find the midpoint of those two planets. Why that is important? I love working with midpoints, and I do believe that they are extremely powerful, by the way. So Jupiter-Uranus midpoint talks about optimism, but pretty much it's about a lucky break. Often we've got fortunate ideas coming around with those midpoints. And then have a look if you have got any planet on that midpoint. That could be your lucky planet. And maybe you want to be paying attention to that planet when it is making certain elements of transit, progression, solar arcs to your midpoint structure. Jupiter and Uranus's midpoint is kind of like the fortune teller, the fortune hunter midpoint. So that could be really much of a you can consider that as a luck. Now, another thing which might be quite noticeable with winners, and you might be shocked about that, but often they have got a Jupiter and South Node conjunction. And that would be an indication that because of your past life deeds, you are kind of getting a little bit of a break in this incarnation as well. I would say I would not give more than 3-degree orb here as well. Another indication could be a harmonious Venus and Jupiter aspect in your chart, especially if it's again connected somehow to your financial houses. I mean, when you look at, for example, the second house, which is the representation of your material possessions, the second house natural ruler is Venus anyway, and Jupiter is associated with expansion and luck and abundance overall. So that could indicate that you are going to be somehow growing your money at one point in your life. Another indication is part of fortune. Now, part of fortune is a calculate point in your chart, which is the combination of the sun, moon, and the ascendant degree. Because the ascendant degree is involved here, it's mega important that you have got a very accurate timing of birth, because part of fortune's movement is going to be pretty sensitive to the timing of birth. So especially, I find part of fortune very important when it gets activated by solar arc progression and so forth. Now, another research has been done on lottery winners, and that was by Frank Clifford. And he mentions that what he noticed that often a Sesky square aspect is going to be getting activated. A Sesky square aspect is a 135-degree aspect. And imagine that the second house ruler and the midheaven are by transit, progression, or solar arc, having a 135-degree aspect going on. And that could be an indication of lucky break. You might be wondering why the Sesky square is coming into this picture, mainly because it has got a fifth and eighth house feeling to it. So of course, those would be a couple of the financial houses. Some other formula you might want to be checking out. For example, when Jupiter has got a trine to Moon, I mean, Moon is so much connected with inner happiness, as well as your spending habit and so forth. So it is a financial planet, but many people do not tend to be looking at the moon when it comes to finances. However, I believe it's a very important planet. And this is something I was teaching about in my money course as well. Often you will see Jupiter in positive aspects to Neptune as well, or even Jupiter having a great aspect to Mars as well. Now, according to Frank Clifford, major winds tends to be coming into our life when natally you have got sesquiquaires going on in your chart. And when those get activated by any of the major timing techniques, typically between the second and the eighth house or the second and the 11th house. So, guys, I hope this is helping you somehow to figure out whether you have got an element of luck in your chart. Now, what I can tell you is that I do have Jupiter and Uranus conjunction, for example, and I do consider myself very lucky. The midpoint of Jupiter and Uranus, because they are conjuncting quite tightly, so there wouldn't be a midpoint there. However, there are the indirect midpoints, which are always in the same modality. So, for example, mine is in Sagittarius, so the same modality would be anything to do with the mutable signs. Therefore, it's Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces. So those could be your lucky points as well. But maybe the direct midpoint is the strongest one. So the direct midpoint is the one where actually the shortest arc is calculated, and that's where your midpoint is falling into. So those could be very powerful points for you. So I wish everyone a very merry, beautiful Christmas. Go on my website, play a little bit with me, sign up to my newsletters. And then if you want to be actually joining membership on YouTube, you want to hear my weekly forecast, you want to get some webinars free of charge within your membership, then this is the place where you need to be. I hope to be supported by you in 2024 as well. Have a great one, everyone. Bye bye.